Hey, good morning to you, and welcome to another edition of the Weather Academy. I'm meteorologist Tom DeVecchio here, and we are going to switch things up. We talked about it last Friday, considering some scheduling difficulties as we head on into the month of June, or scheduling changes. I will be doing a weather history today, going back in time a little bit, and then next Wednesday, I'll be doing the last of the weather histories. Craig will be on Fridays doing other weather topics, and we will go through June 12th. After that, the plan is right now to take a short hiatus, call it our own little mini summer break, and then we'll go from there as to where how we pursue the Weather Academy. There seems to be a lot of interest in it, so we may keep it going in some capacity, but that's something that we'll talk with the higher-ups, excuse me, higher-ups in the management, and we'll see what we can come up with to make this perhaps something that's a little bit more permanent going ahead. But today, we are talking a little bit more about some weather history, and we did the big storms of 1993 last week, last Friday, the storm of the century, which gave us here in Erie over 10 inches of snow, probably the most snow that we've ever had from a nor'easter, a coastal storm event. And we also went to 1996, which was kind of a mini storm of the century, which gave Philadelphia and some spots off to our east some record snows that still persist to this day. Now we're going back into, well, I was going to say go back into summer mode, but that is not really the case totally here for today. You know, Erie, the city and the area, while we've had our outbreaks of tornadoes, downtown Erie and Presque Isle have been pretty much escaped all of those hits of tornadic activity. But that changed in 2010. Presque Isle, to our knowledge, did not have a verified tornado claim for as long as records go back. That changed in June of 2010. Now let's check out some of the damage from an EF1 tornado that hit Presque Isle. This is back in June of 2010, courtesy of YouTube. And this is right on Presque Isle. There is a tree. If you look closely at the tree, and come back to me here, Brian. If you look here, if you notice, there's kind of a spin action. It's kind of like somebody, instead of the tree lifting it, it's like somebody twisted it like a corkscrew. And that's what happened here. Classic case. And whenever weather services, what they usually do after what they believe is a tornado move through the region, what they do is they send a storm-warned crew to the area that got hit to see if they can verify the tornado and get a good idea of just how strong it was. One of the things that they look at in damage is, when they look at trees, if the damage here, if it looks like it was twisted, then it was probably a tornado. Now, if it looked like it was cracked, then it would be more like straight line winds. So if these spiky areas of wood were actually bent more toward the side, which you would normally expect when a tree falls, then they would consider this straight line winds. But the fact that we have some twisting to this particular tree, and this is the main road of the peninsula, by the way. I'm not sure which one of the parking lots that is. It was definitely more toward the front of Presque Isle. And another picture here. Let's go back to full screen, and we'll show you that. Some of you may remember, if you walk the trail, this is the damage from that little bridge that goes out to an overlook into the bay. We have several of them, but this is the first one you see. I believe it's after the third parking lot, that little parking lots that are off toward the bay side there when you first enter Presque Isle. And roughly a half a mile in, perhaps, and had some pretty good damage to that particular area. Now, going back to full screen here, Brian, one thing you may want to look at here with this damage, again, this is kind of a a fuzzy picture here. You know, with YouTube, you kind of hit the print screen and hopefully you get a good frame there. But now these trees look like, these trees do not look like they were spun around. It looks like they're actually blown over and snapped. So, and a lot of the damage here, again, I know it's a little fuzzy, but a lot of damage here indicates perhaps more of a straight line wind as opposed to tornadoes. And that's not unusual. This is why they send people out to take a look on not just the damage, but the orientation of the damage. And this is a classic example where it may have started as a tornado. The tornado may have lifted back up, and we had some straight line damage. This particular part of Presque Isle may have been straight line winds. But it was officially an EF0 tornado, and the first documented tornado to hit Presque Isle. That was back in June of 2010. So as we go full screen again here, what do we look at on the weather map? Now, this was so subtle. If you look here, Erie is about right here where I'm spinning my pointer, and this is a little stationary front. A lot of times with classic, what we call the classic tornado, we get these strong fronts, like this front here in the Midwest. We get a strong cold front, some isobars behind it. It's got a little bit of push. But this particular one, we had this front kind of just close to the region. And stationary fronts, typically we don't talk about stationary fronts as something that would produce tornadic activity. But a lot of times these fronts can be the focus of tornadic activity. And the main reason is winds along a stationary front tend to go parallel to it. They don't really push it up or down. But if you have some good upper level support, and I believe, do I have a map? I do not. Okay, just had to double check there. I thought I had an upper level map. But oftentimes, if you have winds going this way, while winds aloft are coming, say, from the northwest, sometimes you can get enough spin. And that's what happened here. What also may have helped is a little bit of a lake breeze component that we always talk about. That lake breeze causes a little mini front that may have combined with the stationary front to help produce just enough spin to get the tornadoes to form along the lake shore. The other thing that happens whenever we get these tornadoes near the lake, particularly when you have a stationary front like that, a lot of times you get, sometimes we talk about in the wintertime with lake effect snow, we call it frictional forcing. And what that means is the wind comes over the water doesn't have as much friction as the land. So when air goes over the water, it goes pretty quickly. When it hits the land, it slows down. The air kind of piles up. But if you have the wind going parallel to the lake shore, the wind over the water goes fast, the wind over the land slows down, and you can get what we call a frictional forcing spin-up due to the differences in speed. So that is another possibility with this particular tornado. And it did cause some damage, but everything has been fixed, and life goes on here there on Presque Isle. But it is the first documented tornado to hit Presque Isle. That was about 10 years ago, almost to the day, 10 years ago actually, in June of 2010. So that's 2010. Now we're going to go to another event that's much more recent. In fact, some of you are maybe old enough, even you as kids may be old enough to remember this last tornado. And that was back in 2017, November 5th, I believe, November 5th of 2017. And this is the one that went over Mill Creek. It was, again, as I mentioned before, we don't have, it's been a long, long time since Mill Creek and the city got hit with a direct hit of a tornado. It's been years and years. We believe it goes back to the early 50s. So you're talking, 60, 70 years since we've had any kind of tornado actually hit the city. Now, this is some damage from that tornado. And I think what I'm going to do first, I'm going to stop this and probably should show this graphic first. This is a map. Yes, it is kind of hard to see, but just to orient you, this line right here is 26th Street, or Route 20, and the tornado started roughly from 26th and Cahee Road across Sterretania, just south of 26th and like 30th or 32nd and Sterretania, near Gerlach's and Prescott Pizza and Connie's Ice Cream there. It went continuing to go east, crossing I-79, and actually picked up intensity here along I-79, and then it dissipated over around, looks like around 34th and Green Garden. So that's the rough path, about 1.5 miles of the path. And what we found is this early part going to roughly Zook Road, it was an EF0, and the tornado may actually have been bouncing in and out because we have some evidence of straight line winds and some evidence of some spin. Other areas here toward Green Garden is more spin-like in their damage, and because it actually picked up to an EF1 roughly around I-79 and 32nd Street, and went on over to 34th and Green Garden. So with that in mind, let's go over and show you some of that damage there. And here is just, again, orient you. This is this road right here. For those of you in Mill Creek, you know it well. Legion Road. That's going across the street. This is the old Kmart West Plaza. This is the parking lot of the post office. PNC Bank is here. 26th Street will be just off your screen. And here we have, again, if you look here, we have some trees down, and we have trees knocked down here as well. So looking at these, you notice how this tree is oriented this way, this one is this way, this one is this way. And let's get another, here's another look. What you're seeing here is this damage right here. So this is kind of a closer look. This is a drone that was put on you. Someone did the drone and put on YouTube here. So here's the Kmart, the back end of the Kmart Plaza, and here are the trees. Now, the reason this is tornadic, if you look at the tree, it's not a perfect spiral, but you see this is oriented here, 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 here. The trees, some trees are going this way, some trees are going this way. So the trees did not all fall in the same direction. So that's one of the things that that the meteorologists look at when they assess the damage. But these are not small trees. These are, you know, mature, mainly maple trees. But one thing you may notice, these trees aren't green. They're orange and yellow. Notice the trees here. You may have noticed this is not a summer event. This is November. This was November. And here is some of the other damage. This, again, Legion. Now we're on the other side of Legion Road. Here's Legion Road. Here's the post office. Kmart Plaza would be here. And you can see, look at that tree. Now this one looks like it cracked clean off. There's the stump. And here's some roof damage on this particular home here. Other little roof damage as well. With some of the damage here in tree limbs. You can see leaves all over the place. So that is, you know, that is some of the damage that can occur here with that tornado that moved through. It was an EF0 and then it turned to an EF1. Here it was actually probably just about to transition to an EF1 based on the damage here. But this is very unusual to have a tornado hit in November. November is not a tornadic month, typically. But it seems like lately, this was 2017, things start to shift here with our shifting temperature patterns. So we've had tornadic activity in November. Of course, recall 2017 and 2018, very interesting months, or very interesting 4 to 6 month time period. We had our first tornado in Erie in over 70 years. And recall just 6 weeks later, we got hammered with the most snow that we've had Christmas-wise, which is something that I'll be talking about next week. And then in April, we had some of the worst hail damage from thunderstorms that hit in April, which will also be more than likely a topic for next week. But as we check out the other pictures here and the other documentation, as we check out the weather map, here's what the weather map looked like. And once again, this isn't a particularly situation where you look at it and it doesn't scream, hey, we're going to get a tornado. We do have, though, if you notice, a couple. There's those stationary fronts again. There was one here. Now remember, this is at 7 o'clock in the morning. By mid-afternoon, when it reached us, that front was closer. So we have a situation similar. We have a situation similar here to what we had with the Presque Isle tornado. We have the stationary front here, and now I do have an upper level pattern. So the front here, the winds are going kind of south-southeast, with the pattern here in the upper levels, the winds are going west. So we have westerly winds aloft with south winds. So what you have here, as you come back to me here, Brian, what you have here is southerly winds, westerly winds in between. That's where the spin up came. But even then, it was very difficult. The tornadoes, usually when Cleveland issues warnings, they try to look for spin in the atmosphere through Doppler radar. But as we've talked about many times, both in our shows and perhaps it's something that we could do as another Weather Academy, the radar has to be able to see the actual spin. And these tornadoes were so shallow that the radar beam was overshooting it, and Cleveland was having a tough time even finding the tornado. It really was left up to the general public, who contacted us, as well as the Weather Service in Cleveland, saying, we've got winds galore here and we've got trees down. And you feel badly because Cleveland is, they're the official entity that issues warnings. I mean, imagine driving down a highway and you wonder if you're going to hit a car, but your eyes are closed. Okay, same situation here. So they did the best job with what they had, and they were able to find it enough to at least get out the warning in time to give out the warning. But that was two pretty unusual events back in June of 2010 and November of 2017. Two tornadoes at times and places that we normally don't see a lot of those tornadic activities. And as Craig always says, we end it with what inspires you? What makes you want to get up in the morning and do this every single day? This is the time to figure it out. Think now. For those of you, especially if you're in middle school, you're never too young. But even those of you in elementary school, you're never too young to at least figure out, here's what I like, or here's what I don't like. But this is one of the times to do that. So what inspires you to want to get up each day and actually do this kind of career? For me, it was weather. For you, maybe it's weather as well. Maybe it's something else. But never, never stop trying, and never, never stop thinking about what is it you want to do, and you're never too young to start. That is your Weather Academy for today. Craig will be back with more good weather stuff on Friday. Take care. Have a great day.